Good evening, everyone. I'm Nan Gillespie, and I just want to come to you tonight and share a little bit of my transformational story with you. Excuse me, I think you're going to be surprised um, because a lot of people know my story, and so they know that I have a big physical transformation since joining Young Living, but it's more than that. So let me just share with you a little bit, and I will be posting the income disclosure statement in the comments and on a link to an upcoming business class that we have, which will be this Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. On this page, it will be an intro to our business and give you a little bit more information. So if my story intrigues you a bit, I would highly suggest that you join us on Thursday. So I'll just start off by telling you that in my life, I've always been a leader. In my former job, growing up, and in my former job, I did a lot of presentations, but those were easy for me because I wasn't talking about myself at all, and I was usually presenting about something academic. And then I, came to Living Well Now and the Young Living business, and really kind of had to start talking about myself a little bit. And that was a difficult transition for me to focus on me, but it made a world of difference in my personal growth and just how I relate to other people. So when you get up to talk about yourself, that means you're being somewhat vulnerable, and that was a big transition for me because I hid behind my intellectual knowledge in my previous job and didn't really have to talk about me. But you do have to look inside yourself to figure out what it means to share your story with others. And so that brings me to how much Young Living has changed my life and transformed my life. So my first transformation was just being open to the non-traditional. By nature, I'm a rule follower, and so growing up in a family with a registered nurse, and I just thought you just do what doctors tell you to do. You don't question it. And yet I found myself in a very rough physical state with an autoimmune disorder, a compromised immune system. I was down all the time, sick very, very often. And I had to learn to transform and to listen to maybe some non-traditional ideas because the traditional ones weren't working for me. Yet, as a rule follower, I stuck to them. I mean, heck, I was the oldest child, oldest grandchild, firstborn, I did what I was told and I expected everybody else to do the same. And so learning a different kind of natural approach to my health was a big transformation to me. When I first learned that essential oils could be therapeutic, I really didn't believe it. The rules said that you go to a doctor and you take medicine and you worry about your health reactively, not proactively. And so it took using the oils and supplements after suffering from that autoimmune disorder for 20 years for me to realize that I had to transform my thinking and be open to possibilities. And on top of that, to be open to sharing even the difficult parts of my story with others, because when I started sharing, I started learning more from others' experiences. So another transformation that Young Living brought me to then obviously was physical, because once I opened my mind to the possibilities and started using the products, I stopped chasing that elusive wellness wagon and started driving it instead. I researched, I experimented, I listened to others and their testimonies and their experiences, and then I adapted them to my own situation. I tried some things that didn't work, just to be really honest with you, but I didn't give up. And guess what? My body started working the way that God intended for it to work. And the weight just started melting off of me, which was the obvious physical transformation. Many of you have seen my before and after pics. I could post one in the comments as well. But the physical on the outside was obvious, but what was happening on my insides was more obvious to me than anybody else, but made the biggest difference. So when people say, oh, you look so good, people haven't seen me in years, can't get over it and say I'm reverse aging and I look younger, but I say what I feel on the inside is completely different, and the outside is just a bonus to that. I continue the daily regimen that I started with once I did all that research and gathered all that input. I continue that to this day. And it's been close to 3 years now, I think, that I have kept the 85 pounds off. But more importantly, that I have continued to feel good inside, from the inside out. The physical transformation that I went through truly added the bonus to my biggest transformation of all, which is the blessing of sharing Young Living with others. You know, people first notice that physical transformation, and then they talk to me for 5 minutes and they notice my inner transformations as well. And that leads me to being able to share all of these blessings from working with these products and sharing them with others, and to help others and help them imagine their own possible transformations. I get to share how my dreams are coming true and how people can suddenly see that maybe there's hope for a different way for them as well. Young Living is this wonderful big package full of blessings and possibilities. And the biggest change for me was I didn't continue down that path of this is what you're supposed to do every year until you retire. Instead, I started seeing the possibilities and started dreaming, and realized that sharing Young Living with other people not only transformed them physically, but also provided the opportunity for them to transform their financial outlook as well. Just like I was able to retire 4 years early, I've gone on a couple of cruises since then. I've done things that I never thought I would be able to do on a retired teacher's salary. So my retirement from my teaching salary is my bonus, and I make a living off of Young Living. And I'm hoping that'll eventually get to the point where I am able to bless others in charities and in ways that in big ways. I mean, I do it little ways now, but I want to keep it growing and getting bigger and helping others do the same in their lives. So transformation for me is kind of the word that I associate with Young Living. And I hope that this intrigues you enough to join us on Thursday and listen in on our Zoom call about the Young Living business and what possible transformations it could have for you as well. Thanks for joining me tonight, and have a really great evening.